we're going to talk about Schnucks once more. Schnucks plans to test local products via an incubator. According to Grocery Dive, a year after launching its business accelerator program, Schnuck Markets announced Tuesday it will introduce products from the program's first cohort of local businesses in 15 of its St. Louis area stores. The program, called Schnucks Springboard, provides local, diverse-owned businesses with education, resources, and access to the grocery company's existing customer base. Starting Wednesday, 11 Missouri and 4 Illinois Schnucks stores will offer the company's products in a 4-week trial. To help introduce the new goods to their shoppers, the grocer has also reportedly scheduled sampling events for the first weekend in May. That's this weekend, people. Head out to all your Schnucks Select locations in Missouri and Illinois. I'm going to go to you first, Jeff. Generally speaking, are you pro or con the idea of local incubators within grocery stores?
The concepts, it's hard. I mean, I think you're a terrible person if you're not pro that. It's a
Oh boy.
it's a great concept that I think does a lot for a local community. Now, whether it is a profitable or the right strategic direction for a larger company to employ, I think is, if it's looking for a click, banner headline to be the unlock for them, I'm not a big proponent of it. But I actually am not surprised at Schnucks, given their family owned and operated history, seeing what they're doing, and particularly in the markets that they're going to employ it. I actually don't think they were looking for a headline here. I actually believe they were doing this because they want to get some unknown local family owned and operated brands more exposure. And I think when you do it for that manner and in that capacity, it works. When you do it at for a headline or a consumer talking piece, I think it's lost. But
Jeff, I have to bring back something you said earlier in the podcast, because this is something that I'm wondering about with some of these incubators. What happens when tariffs hit these small companies? Like, you've invested all this money in a local incubator, and you were talking about major retailers potentially going out of business this summer. I mean, what impact could tariffs have on these programs for the small brand that suddenly is paying 3 times the amount of money for organic flaxseed coming from overseas?
Yeah, it's lights out. I mean, I unless you can think about your pricing and promotional strategy in a very quick manner, it'll be very challenging for some of these smaller bespoke brands that are heavily reliant on the sourcing of their goods outside of the U.S. to weather the type of pressure that we're gonna face, and we are facing right now. Look, I think there's still some brands that do it well. I think of Huckberry as an example. Huckberry, I love everything that they do, and they source a lot of bespoke, unique brands, obviously US based, but they do a lot of international actually brands, and it'll be and they don't do it for the promo, they don't do it for the for the advertisement, but I do believe that you have an opportunity with some of these smaller brands to lean into, but it'll be interesting to see how many are actually left at the end of this, if this isn't resolved.
Yeah, Luis, how would you be advising your partners at A&M or your clients at A&M if they're, if this is the strategy that they have to bring in new customers and really help bolster some of the local businesses?
I think one question, and that's, Jeff with the CFO services hat kind of alluded to it, is it the right use of capital and resources for a grocer to be investing in helping develop those companies? And that's a real question on, how stretched can you be? Do you want to have the grocer just focused on their core business and other VCs or other players are supporting and bringing the new players to the grocer who will then distribute it? Or do you want to integrate? And do you think that because you're a grocer, you have actually a specific set of knowledge, you know the customers, you can very quickly scale the new products in your stores and help accelerate? So that's a strategic question that you have to answer, and it depends on the DNA of the company. And some companies have turned into good incubators on the side, but not many. So
yes, right.
And
so
you actually see a lot of from a consumer standpoint, a lot of the big players. If you think the Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Dr. Peppers, and others, typically they try incubating, they try developing small companies, but not that many, or even L'Oreal in the beauty space, or not many emerge very strong.
Right.
How it typically works well is when they acquire a company that's already scaled, that's no longer a startup, and that they can integrate in their BU. So
that's the biggest thing is can you scale? If you do take off in the local 4 or 5 stores, are you ready to go chain wide, and how quickly? So it's more complex, you're saying, than pro or con. Chris, I'll give you the last word. Pro or con? Local incubator.
I always love this. I feel like the last 2 times we've had A&M on the show, and I get very vociferous in my. I don't think I disagree with you guys. Actually, I think I agree with Luis, but I'm gonna come at Jeff a little bit and say I guess I'm the bad person that is con for the local products and grocery stores, because I think Luis hit it on the head. Like, I don't think most retailers have the stomach to do these for the long term. So with that, with that said, I'm pro the idea, as long as you are 100% committed to it being an idea to give back to the community for the long term. Like, I'm talking forever, or as R&D, and you're just comfortable losing that money every year. And again, you're going to do it every year for the R&D, because chances are when these items are stacked up against every item in the store, I've said this 1,000 times on this show, these brands are small for a reason. They wouldn't get in the shelf. They wouldn't get on the shelves otherwise. So you're going to lose money on them more often than not. Sure. Are you going to get a winner? Yeah, maybe every once in a while, but it's not going to offset the cost of trying to do this day in and day out. And the chances are, to Luis's point, the winners will get onto your shelves naturally anyway. That's just how this works. So net, I don't think it's a good investment of capital for the average retailer to think about. I just am not bought in on it. But again, Schnucks, very important in the local community. If they're beholden to the idea of supporting local entrepreneurs, then fine. But we've seen other examples, particularly in our local market, where they say they're going to do this and then they pull the plug on it because they need to find some other growth opportunities. And that's just a waste of time, in my opinion.
Yeah, so well said. I think that's also where's the budget coming from? Is this a marketing thing where you're trying to get are you using these local brands as marketing to draw you into your local store? That's a marketing budget then. That's not a merchandising plan at that point in time too. So it's really changing how you're thinking about it, right, Chris?
Yeah, and I'd say too, as a former merchant, looking at my adjacencies or my space plan on, in a store, in the average store, as soon as I start to see the average dollars per square foot of these items being incredibly low, I'm going after that and I'm making a play for it, because I want to bring in something and I want to be the hero in my organization that helps drive comp growth year over year. So that's what most of the time ends up happening here. You've got to have a really strong leadership that's going to stick to this idea.